the House for the 21st Century, the Housing for the 21st Century Act passed by a vote of 390 to 9
Oh, it was
on,
no way that wasn't gonna get passed. Who
yeah,
was the nine? That's what I
who,
want. Who was the
you know,
nine?
I said the same thing. I was saying the same thing. I was like, who were the 9 that said, nah, we don't want this thing? Like, who were those 9? Like,
Nine Karens. If y'all don't go somewhere and sit down.
we rarely have this much, bipartisan, especially today. And it's like, who are these 9
For
outliers that
real.
was like, nah, we don't agree with none of this. We don't care about the rest of y'all 390. It's like, anyways,
Golly.
yeah, there's been, I guess a large push to try to speed up construction because we are, as many people know, in a housing shortage. We're still in a housing
Shortage,
shortage.
honey.
We're going to be in a shortage for years because we've underbuilt for years for the amount of demand that has picked up. And so we've been underbuilding, honestly, since, I really want to say since 2008, because that's when you saw the housing bubble. And when that bubble burst, we had so much inventory and very few buyers, really little demand for people wanting to purchase those homes. And then, so builders didn't want to get back in that situation of building all these homes and then we have another bubble burst and then you got no one to sell these homes to and you just lose money, builders going out of business, construction companies going out of business, that whole deal. So you don't want that happening. And so that's why we've, for years, it's taken years for us to get into this situation. It's going to be years for us to get out. They can't build it quick enough to overcome the shortage in a year or two time span. It's going to be, consistent building over a number of years. So they're trying to look at ways that they can speed up construction and affordability as well. And as you build more homes, we're gonna have affordability is gonna come back down because supply will increase, demand will be met even better. Economics 101, supply and demand. But some of the provisions are aimed directly at cutting home construction costs. One is the removal of a 1970s era requirement that manufactured homes be built on a permanent chassis, I think is how you pronounce that, even though many never move from their first destination. So trying to, remove provisions and clean up some stuff that's going to allow for streamlining of builders to throw up some stuff a whole lot quicker because we know that.
See, listen, because even you using the word throw up. Like, I don't want to throw up nowhere near something I got to live in.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't
You had me until throw up.
Doesn't speed equate to quality?
Never.
Never. Like, hey, I bet you
I
I
ain't
could.
never known for it. But slowness don't necessarily equate to quality either.
Yeah.
So
They're also trying to modernize rules for banks, tailoring regulatory requirements, especially for small banks that tend to be significant sources of home financing, especially in those small communities. So they're trying to bring the housing market, real estate industry, a little bit more updated, if you will, because real estate as a whole has always been a more slowly moving behemoth. Things don't change quickly in the real estate industry. It lags behind because it's a big industry and it takes a lot to move real estate because there's so many moving parts just to buy a house, to build a house. There's so many moving parts. That's one of the reasons why they were saying with California, when all those homes were destroyed out there, they were like, it's going to take decades for California to get back to where it was because of all of the laws in place with the permits that you have to get just to, break ground, and the permits you have to get for foundations and the permits you have to get for zoning and the permits all of the laws and all of the permits and all of the paperwork that you have to go through and the number of people that have to review all of these things and sign off, and that stuff does not happen quickly. And they were like, because of all those laws, it's going to take so long after the fires for California to just get back to where it was. So,
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those houses were probably originally built in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, renovated several times since then. But
yeah,
even in Georgia, if you're trying to renovate something versus new construction, the permit process is night and day. Like and I can only imagine in California, The expense of trying to rebuild some of those homes and the time that it's going to take. Like, I would have said 10 years minimum,
Mm-hmm.
just to halfway, man, it's just going to become, I don't know. I feel for them. It's so easy to forget about what they went through with those wildfires, but the rebuilding phase, man.
Yeah, it's.
Oof.
I would say in Atlanta, and particularly in Metro Atlanta, which encompasses, it feels like all the way, out to Warner Robins. Metro Atlanta has just grown so much from what it was, decades ago. But particularly in Metro Atlanta, there have been a lot of new constructions. Like you can't drive, 10 minutes in any direction without hitting, several new constructions, developments that are coming up. So certain states have the process a little bit more streamlined for builders to build homes than other states do. Some other states might have a little bit more red tape involved, but as a whole, this is a federal push for them to try and roll back some of these regulations that are preventing homes as a whole across the nation from being built more quickly. It was interesting to me that they mentioned particularly manufactured homes, which leads me to think that this is one of their, suggestions, one of their, not suggestions, is one of their tactics that they're going to use to put out more affordable housing, not necessarily having a site built permanent foundation home, but now you're just putting up a bunch of manufactured homes, which are going to be significantly less than a site built, brick or.
Listen, in mobile home defense, because I'm actually a mobile home proponent. I want to own a park one day. That's one of my overarching goals.
Oh, I would love to own a park. Yeah.
Man, I would. That's one thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
I like mobile homes. I would live in a mobile home, especially if it had a garage. I have seen some really nice ones, and it's very easy to affix it to a permanent foundation. I would not affix it to a permanent foundation in a park. I would have a modular mobile home built on my own land and affix it to a permanent foundation and have a garage and whatever. Or maybe not. Maybe if I did want to up and move, I would just have it, with the steel posts in the ground and the hurricane straps and whatever. But I think that that's a sad, not conclusion, but a sad alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Something with a permanent foundation, even if it's 2-bed, 2-bath or whatever, should be the affordable option. Not something that I can pick up and move.
Hook up to the back of your F-150 and
yeah, that I gotta watch out for a tornado and a hurricane. Less likely to make it. I'm gonna end up in Kansas somewhere, like Dorothy.
Yeah.
So I hope they continue working on this bill.
I do as well, because I feel like certain communities would get all the mobile homes, and other communities would get all of the more.
Don't even get me started in this Black History Month.
I didn't say which communities. I was just saying that
you don't have to.
Certain communities would get the mobile homes, and other ones might get, some more nicer site-built stuff that's a little bit more affordable. They're just going to be upset when we start moving into wherever those communities are that have the nice site-built stuff. But but no, I think I'm not opposed to mobile homes either. Actually, true story. Growing up, where my grandparents' house sits right now, we had family that, back when family actually used to live next to family. So, the house across the street was family, the house next door, and the house on the other side of them, it was like family. So our family, lived very close together, all on this property. I mean, different lots, but, they're all adjacent to one another. We used to, when I go down to my grandparents' house, we go to my aunt's house, which was literally right next door. And for my entire childhood, went to my aunt. I would go to my aunt's house when I go down there, hang out. Sometimes we eat over there, play whatever, come back to my grandparents' house. We play over there, we leave, come back to Atlanta. Did not know that she lived in a mobile home. It was so nice. I was like, it was a double wide mobile home. And I was
Roomy,
like,
spacious, spread
yeah,
out.
I had no idea because I would walk in that thing. And I mean, just being a kid, but even as I grew up in middle school, high school, I thought it was a regular house like everybody else's house. The house was so nice. I was like, double wide mobile home, full kitchen, 3 bed, 2 bath,
Yeah,
living room, whatever. And
yeah.
I'm like, it's just a regular house to me. It wasn't until I'm in my 30s. I kid you not, I was in my 30s, and I'm still in my 30s, but it wasn't until I had got in my 30s that someone was like, "Oh yeah, her house was a mobile home." I was like, "No," and they're like, "Yeah, it was a mobile home. It was a double wide mobile home." I was like, "That house was nice." And then when I went back down there later and drove past, I was like, "That is a mobile home." I had no clue. It was just, yeah, mobile homes. I'm not against them either. I do not. They are not an equal replacement
No,
for a site built home, in my
that
opinion.
is a very good way to put it. I like how you put that.
Yeah, they're not an equal replacement, but they can be very nice though. And clearly, I was like, I thought it was a regular house. Like, oh, this is just a really nice house. Like, yeah, had no idea it was a
Hmm.
mobile home. It was just a really nice place to live.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's kind of for me that's been more and I guess it's kind of weird to hear me say this because as a real estate agent, obviously the higher the price point, the more money I make. But I often say that being in real estate of any form and fashion, especially if you're an agent, is more so about servitude
Hmm.
and having a servant's mindset because you will do much work that you are not always going to get compensated for.
Hmm.
So for me, it has given me a little hope. And I think probably because I'm on the side now where I'm ready to purchase again. I really want to purchase again, but I just refuse at some of these prices that's out here because I know it's inflated still.
Hmm.
But Metro Atlanta, I've been reading articles lately where Metro Atlanta has really been, sellers have been taking a hit. They have had to accept less. They have, we're in that stage now where it's becoming a much more stronger buyer's market. At first, it was, buyer or seller, it wasn't either or, but now it's really becoming more of a buyer's market.
Hmm.
The sellers are having to take lower prices or give out tons of concessions in order to sell. That is where we are now. I have gone down probably, I don't even know, $50,000 or $60,000 on one of my listings since I listed it in September.
Oh
I
wow.
just did a huge 15K price drop today, matter of fact. And when we listed it, when I first got the listing contract last May, I wasn't able to really put it on the market until September. And we didn't even start having any showings at all until December. So, but the fact of the matter is, during this time, what was selling for 700 and 800, maybe thousand, 6, 7, 800,000 in that particular subdivision, the price point has just gone down and down and down, especially the longer that it sits.
Hmm.
So, you have to be willing to adjust and pivot if you want to sell now. But that is a good thing. Like everything was way too inflated
Hmm.
because sellers knew that they could get more. And there was just this corporate greed and this even private sector greed. And so now people are just like, well, I just want my house to sell.
Hmm.
So I am happy about that. I'm happy about this bill or this act or whatever that's this bill.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what comes of it, what else comes of it,
Yeah.
and hopefully I can get some of the benefit from it.
I hope so too. And I mean, I'm 100% with you. It's like I would actually that look. I started looking at mobile home parks about a couple months ago because I was like, I really would like to own one. I think they do. There's a need for them. There's a purpose that they serve. There's a community of people that's the life that they would prefer to live. And some of
They'll
them,
be full.
yeah.
Everyone that I know of, Frederick, is full, especially in the close metro areas.
Hmm.
What I really want to do, I don't really want to acquire one. I want to develop one from scratch.
And see, you can build it like a community that way as well, and
Yes.
have all of the amenities and the things that are really gonna just drive people there and make it something that people really enjoy being at. Like, no, I'm 100% in support of that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% in support of that. I'm like, you know what? That was something I also was like, you know what? I would like to own a mobile home park. I think it can be
Mhm.
done even better than what is being done right now.
Yeah,
And
because the majority of them have been established for a while, and so
mhm,
they have whatever people needed back then. But
mhm,
I think the needs of people and the needs of communities are different now. For
yes,
instance, a good majority of the ones where I've even had listings in, I have a current listing one right now, and I just got finished closing on one in November or December of last year. So I'm working more and more with mobile home parks, but the majority of them do not have amenities at
mhm,
all. There's no pool, there's no playground,
playground,
and
yeah,
there are so many families in these mobile home parks. Um, and then even the I mean, from a investor standpoint, the fact that this land is rented, it will always be rented. That's.
yeah. And then
But
there's
I actually seen one in Stockbridge that the people can actually purchase their lots.
oh
So
really?
yeah, but that's the only one I've ever seen, and probably the only one I'll ever see because it's a cash cow if you can get it where
Just
it needs to be.
yeah, no, absolutely. And
Especially if you own all the homes. Now, if people bring in their own homes, they might bring in one that was built in 1970 and another one built in 1998, and this one was built in 2023. I don't know if I want that.
yeah, I would say that was going to be the next thing I was going to say. I was going to say because you have some parks where the park owners also own the homes, and you rent the
Yes.
homes in addition to the property it sits on. But then you have those park owners that they just own the lots. You come park your own home on that lot if you want to. Um, but like you said, you can make it more consistent if you own the homes on there, and it's not as much for you to put up a mobile home, build a mobile home, rather than
Yeah.
throwing up one.
There you go.
There's
There
another mobile
it is.
home. Like, you want a mobile home?
Oh,
to
you wipe
construct a
that off.
mobile
There you
home.
go. Please.
Yeah, it's very more cost. It's a lot more cost efficient to construct a mobile home than it is to construct a site built home.
Yes.
But you could also, depending upon how you want to do it, you could, if you have enough land, have one part where it is a mobile home and have that service that community. But then you have something else that services more of the RV community, where people can go and park their own stuff there and they just pay for the lot for as long as they want to stay, or people who drive RVs cross country or whatever, depending upon the location, because that's a very
Yes.
location thing. You got to make sure you're putting it in the right area where people would actually do that.
Yeah. Close enough to a freeway. You have your propane hookup, your water hookup.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just talking about it gets me so excited because I feel like when God, I feel like when it's something from God, like when He gives you an idea and just talking about it excites you and makes you feel like I feel like that's something that you should really pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't want to die full. I don't want to leave this earth full of ideas, full of things that I always wanted to do. Like I really want to put hands and feet to the visions and things that I have and the desires and goals and the things that I see in my mind's eye that are in my heart. Like I really want to do these things. I don't want to just talk about them. So I'm praying that, God will, just create those opportunities because I think that would, talking about affordable housing, everyone deserves a place that they can call their own.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also on that, in that same vein, I told you I was going to mention this. I was looking at an article the other day, and this guy was recording a video from the front seat of his car in a random parking lot somewhere in Metro Atlanta. I think it was like North Metro Atlanta. And he said there's 50 other cars there in that same parking lot, and they were posted up for the night, like literally living in their cars. And it was almost like set up like a little neighborhood, and it was just understood that we're not going to mess with each other, we're not going to bother each other. We're posted up. We're here. This is what it is. And I was telling my friend, really the only difference between homeless people in the street and homeless people that are living in their car is the fact that they just don't have a car. Otherwise, they would be in their car, if a homeless person had a car. But there's a lot of people who just don't have cars, but they may have a place to stay. But if they lose that place to stay, that's how they end up in the street. But if they still have their car, then they have somewhere to stay. They can go get them a gym membership and keep clean, use the showers at the gym or a community center or something. But like that lets me know that homelessness is not, because when the city of Atlanta counts homeless people, or any city counts homeless people, they count the unhoused people that are like on the street or in shelters. They're not including the people that are living in their cars.
Yeah. And the odd part about it is, I think they kind of quasi consider that shelter, even though it's not adequate in my opinion. It's like, the reason I say that is because there was an individual who was a veteran, homeless veteran, living in his car. Part of getting a VA loan, we have to show a resident's history, somewhere where you've lived at for the last 2 years. This guy was homeless. He was living in his car, but he was paying insurance for his vehicle, and he could prove that he was paying insurance on this place where he was living out of, and they were actually able to utilize his car as residence for where he was staying. And he qualified for a VA loan and was able to get a home based off the fact that he was living in his car. Now, I was like, wow, I've never heard anything like that before until I heard about that story. And then it was like, wow, so you're counting that as a dwelling. Yeah, and is it a dwelling? No, but in that situation, I do appreciate, it's like, okay, you know what? We could just deny him, or we could stretch this thing and say, nope, that car counts. He was paying insurance on it, just like you would pay insurance on a house or a rental place. We're going to count it. So I can appreciate the stretch, but yeah.
They're going to have to start doing things like that in order to really fix the homelessness crisis, because there's no one that's concerned enough about the fact that it's not. And to me, Frederick, I don't think that it's the houses that are unaffordable so much as it is the cost of living is not commensurate with how much stuff costs in general. Because it's a lot of people that could afford an apartment, but then they can't afford the groceries, the light bill, the water bill. And it's not even the fact that these things are so expensive as much as it is, you still have these jobs that's out here paying $12 and $15 an hour. That's not enough. No. You literally need a minimum of like $25, $30 an hour just to be considered like head above water.
Yeah. For it to be adequate. Yeah.
And you have people making a third of that. $10 an hour. Like that was okay in the 99 and the 2000. But baby, we almost 30 years past that. So, and it has, I don't think it, a lot of people that are all the way up here and just out of touch with reality. And like my grandma likes to say, they get a dime above a biscuit when they used to not have a pot to in or a window to throw it out of. A pot or a window is what she used to say. They like to try to talk about people's financial situation and their inability to afford certain things as though it's a lack of ambition. But we are all at different places. And a janitorial job or whatever job a person can get may not pay as much as a white collar job, but it's just not in accordance with how much things are costing these days. It's not caught up with like those, COA, cost of living adjustment, COLAs.
Yeah, cost of living. Yeah,
Social Security and with your disability. They're never enough. It's never enough. And so I don't know who's making these rules and laws, but it doesn't have anything to do with people being lazy. They're doing what they can, and it's still not enough. When you've done all that you can do, and you're literally doing all that you can do, aside from working 24/7, which no one can do, and it's still not enough, we are truly in a crisis.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've in the mortgage industry, I have seen people's incomes, and it's unfortunate, but it comes up more times than not with the profession of teachers. I'll see what teachers get paid, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be one where the income's not gonna be that high, and I'm gonna see how where the debt is, because that's gonna determine how much you're actually gonna qualify for. Because teachers, by and large, are severely underpaid, like severely underpaid. I'm looking at like $30,000, $40,000, and I'm like, this is 2025, 2026. 30,000, 40,000, you're in the poorhouse and you're teaching the next generation. Surely we have more, appreciation, more regard for people who are, giving their lives as educators to help teach and train the next generation of, the great whatever it's going to be, inventors that we're going to have, creators, whatever it is going to be. They're helping to educate that next generation of the great whatever in the industry of, aeronautical engineering or science, technology, mathematics, literature, the greatest writers that are going to come up in the next lifetime. All of this stuff, inventors that are going to come up with the cures to some of these diseases or whatever it might be. And we're like, 30,000 sounds about right. It's like, surely we
That's
we
a
can.
joke. That's why I wouldn't do it. I love teaching. I've loved teaching ever since I was a little kid. I've loved lecturing. I love public speaking. I'm very good at it. But I refused. I
Mhm.
absolutely refused. Y'all ain't fixing to abuse me and pay me pennies on the dollar.
I truly believe this. I believe that we are on the cusp, the verge of a education overhaul,
I
and
hope so.
it might not look like, oh, we're going to do away with all the schools, because that's so ingrained in everything and it's going to be so hard for people to break away from that. But I've been seeing, by and large, more people opting to homeschool their kids
Hmm.
rather
Yes.
than send them off to public school or even private school. Private school comes with a high price tag as well.
Hmm.
But it's like, what are my kids learning? And it's what they're learning, even preparing them for the world that they're going to be stepping into once they turn of age, whatever that be, 16, 18, and beyond. It's, are they even being prepared by learning what I learned when I was in school? Because there's a lot of stuff that I learned in school. I forgot half of it. I forgot more than half of it. And then all that I forgot, I didn't even need to know it anyways. I learned so much fluff that has no bearing on helping me to, become anything of, value in life. It's like,
Calculus.
yeah, it's like, what do I, and
Baby,
I
I
do my
failed
own
geometry. I
taxes.
don't know how I made it out of high school. I failed geometry. I said, what is this?
And I've done my own taxes. And I'm
Only
like,
used it not one time.
you don't need to know calculus. You need to know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide would be of help. But, other than that, it's like you don't need to know any of that pre-algebra.
I
And
may use a little algebra in real estate.
mhm.
But then they had real estate math. I said, "Oh Lord, here it come again." I thought I escaped this, Jesus.
I'll even say with the history, I learned so much about European history, and there is so much African American history.
Don't you talk about that on this Black History Month, President?
Be it that it's February. There is so much that I learned after school that it's like, why didn't y'all teach us this in school? This is the history of this nation, the history of what's going on with the people who are American citizens.
Right.
Why are we teaching more about the Renaissance in Europe, which has no connection to me or you whatsoever? But all of the things that happen in this country, we just whitewashed over a lot of that stuff and we're not even teaching it. So, I mean, I think that there's going to be a huge overhaul in the educational system where, again, the public school system's still going to be around as it is. But I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that, you know what, this is not serving my child to the highest level. It's not adequately preparing them for what they're going to be entering into when they get out of school. They're not going to have the tools to be able to make it to the top of their industry. They're not going to have the tools to be an entrepreneur in whatever profession they want to step into, or to succeed above, whatever else. And rather than throw their kids to the lottery, it's like, no, I'm going to just have more of a control over what my kid is learning and make sure that they're properly prepared. Because especially with AI and technology and how all of this stuff is moving, you're going to have to learn some new skills. What the typical, math, science, and English, and history, social studies, whatever, it's not going to be enough. So
yeah, I'm actually excited about, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get my MBA at some point. I have an accounting, associates in accounting, a bachelor's in business management, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get an MBA. My bachelor's, I got that in 2021, and I have not really felt compelled, and I still don't just yet, to go back to school for my MBA, because AI is still so rapidly evolving.
mm-hmm.
But I think that it's going to be necessary for me, because by that time I'll probably be in my 40s. I don't know as much as I should about AI, but it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And to be relevant, let's say that, real estate pans out and I'm, needing to do something else. I'm going to need some sort of college level real world education about that, about AI.
Mm-hmm.
I've come to that conclusion. Like I've finally accepted it, because, I've been fighting it forever. But there's just certain things that it's here to stay. But I don't really want to go to school and pay my money for an MBA to learn about AI and things like this, or AI in business, and they're still learning about it. I think it's still kind of new, too new.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's the way of the future, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's coming, it's happening. So how are we going to adapt?
Yeah.
It's like when the internet came along and you had those people that weren't going to embrace it. I know, the old fashioned way, I write the letters and I'll da. It's like, okay, you hold on long enough, eventually you're going to be on the back end of that curve, and you've missed the entire wave that you could have been.
Nobody going to be checking for you.
Yeah, it's like you missed all the opportunity that could have. And right now we're still on the very much of the front end of it, because by and large, the overwhelming majority of businesses, I think the last numbers that I heard is like 90 something percent of businesses, when polled, were asked, do you think that AI is going to be a game changer in your industry? And it's like the overwhelming, like all of them were like, yes, absolutely, over 90. And when the next question they were asked, how many of you have, in a meaningful way implemented AI into your business?
Mm-hmm.
Over 90% of them had not done anything.
See?
So it's like, you believe it's going to be a game changer. All of you are like, yep, this is going to change the industry. It's going to change how things are done in this industry. It's going to change how it looks 5-10 years from now. You all agree, but it was like 96 or 97% of you have not done anything to meaningfully implement this into your business. So it's like only 2 or 3% of you are actually out there. So we're still very much on the front end of this thing, in terms of who's going to actually figure out, this is how we need to implement this thing, so that we can start to shift how things are done in a better, more meaningful way.
Yeah. 2030, I might go for my MBA, and definitely some of my elective courses are going to be AI based, because I can't let these young people outdo me. I've been here longer than y'all, and my IQ is probably higher. I was an 80s baby. We had to figure it out, honey.
Yeah.
And that don't just go away just because the new generation came in. So
oh no,
we'll see. But this was a really good conversation. I think it flowed very well from topic to topic.
Yeah.
This was a good one.
Like, subscribe, comment, share. See, I beat you to it this time.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And tune in Fridays next week, or we'll drop another episode this Friday. Home Finance Hacks Tuesday. And then we'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Be blessed.
Toodles.